All your favorite wrestling shows rolled into one. Welcome to the We Book It podcast. Let's start the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Monday Night Raw Dog. I am your host, Coach, and I am joined this week by a very good friend of mine. He's also one of the We Book It boys. He is producing tonight. His name is Freaky Fritos, two-time Booker of the Year. Two-time.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my singles and tag team competitors. Today, I've had one of those Garfield Mondays. It was just meh, but don't worry. You know what fixed my Monday? The OTC. But we'll get to that later. I'll let Coach do his thing. Take it away, buddy.
All right, stacked card on the night. We are just 2 weeks away from, actually, not even 2 weeks. We're less than 2 weeks away from SummerSlam, aren't we?
We are.
Wow, that's great. So we have one more Raw before SummerSlam. So stacked card once again tonight, and we kick things off with CM Punk coming to the ring, talking about his championship match between him and Gunther. And one thing I really like about this match that's happening, it's not somebody that CM Punk has dealt with in the past, to where in a promo they'll just say, oh, CM Punk's a bad guy, he left the company, yada, yada. This seems like something fresh. This is something that it's just straight wrestling talk here. And that's kind of what we saw in this promo. Going to be honest, a little bit underwhelmed with what came across here, but maybe they're just saving that for next week in the go-home show of Raw. But, you know, CM Punk came across as somebody who knew what it takes to win gold, but he just was kind of, it seemed like he was underselling a lot. And, you know, Gunther playing the cocky champion, especially after his win over Goldberg. His talking has been so much better in recent weeks. It has gotten, I mean, just in the past year, his mic skills have been great. It was a pretty straightforward segment to kind of keep building up that hype for SummerSlam. One thing of note, when you noticed they were talking about that match with the graphics, we had moving graphics back. And whew, it was beautiful. They didn't have it for everybody, but for the most part, they had those moving graphics, and it just brings back a good time in wrestling during the Ruthless Aggression era. And it was just nice to see. But Fritos, what do you think of this opening segment?
Yeah, I thought, it was a little underselling, but we still got another week. They're still trying to build up the rest of the card for sure. But I did notice one thing. I don't know if you noticed, Punk kind of pivot when he's saying he had two goals. Main event WrestleMania, which he did. Then he said go for the World Heavyweight Championship. He never mentioned that. He always mentioned WWE Championship, if I can recall. So I like that little pivot he did, since that's what his main focus is now. Mm-hmm. Plus, I think he would look better with the new World Heavyweight Championship than he would holding the crappy championship that one producer and CEO of the company has, Virgil. But what I digress. I digress. I'm just here producing. I'm just, a guest. Not my show. Yeah, especially with that build-up before Saturday night main event when Punk pushed Gunther. Mm-hmm. I was expecting maybe some type of retaliation. If not, we're definitely going to get to that go-away home show. I wish he had Punk had a friend, an ally or something, because I would like to see another repeat of what Gunther did to Jimmy in front of Jay. Mm-hmm. Something like that to just fire him up more. But with this match going into it, I don't know who's going to win. I don't know if they're going to keep the title on Gunther or they're going to pull the trigger and have Punk hold the title till Rollins comes back from his injury. I don't know. This one's definitely interesting for our predictions in the future.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what they're going to do either. You can definitely go one of two ways with it, but we'll just have to wait and see. So we get into our first match of the evening, and it is a rematch of Rusev versus Sheamus. And by God, these men delivered a banger, and I I just cannot wait. I really hope they do a best of 7 with these two. Um, because this is just good wrestling. And you can tell the chemistry that these guys have. They're trying new moves on each other. I mean, Sheamus was freaking jumping from the top rope onto the floor pretty much, trying to deliver a clothesline. And it was just really great stuff. Um, what ended up with the culmination of the match, Rusev exposed a turnbuckle, and Sheamus recognized that, capitalized on it, and the referee was distracted, pulled Rusev into the steel post, and then delivered a brogue kick, and then it was 1, 2, 3, 4 the win. I mean, it was just great. I really think this was the match of the night, and it was our first match. So that just sets the bar way too high for everybody. But what can you do? Um, like I said, it looks like they're going for a best of 7, maybe even a best of 5. I'm not sure what they're doing, but I know the crowd was loving every single second of it. Fritos, what do you think?
Love the match. I love everything about it. I love that little botch Sheamus had when he's going to the turnbuckle and fell down on the mat, then got back up and did it. That little thing, you get classic,
Yeah.
hysterical. At least he admitted it, so I think that was funny. But yeah, I would love this to continue into SummerSlam and going past that. I would even love it if these guys were in contention eventually further down the line for the IC title.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would amplify it. I know we still got Dom and AJ, but I'm thinking future ahead, maybe Rumble, Mania next year. That would be something special, I feel like, especially with these two veterans that have so much chemistry. They're good friends outside of the ring too. I believe they're neighbors. If not, they're fairly close where they hang out all the time. They've got a lot of things in common. I think that would be something fantastic for them. Rusev's kind of been underwhelming with his booking, but the Sheamus feud he's got going on is definitely amplifying all of that.
Yeah, I agree. Rusev's booking hasn't been the best since he's come back, but I think they're working him in, and maybe this was by request, but from either Rusev or Sheamus of like, hey, let's work together here, get you back into the swing of things here in WWE, and then you can go your own way. I wouldn't be surprised if Sheamus came up with that kind of booking decision, because that's just how great of a wrestler and person that he is. But we move on to our next match, which is a number 1 contenders match for the Tag Team Championship in the men's division, and it stacks the Creed brothers, the LWO, and the New Day against each other. And while it was mainly all New Day and the Creed brothers, their egos got the best of them and started arguing with each other. That allowed Del Toro and Wilde to mount a comeback. And then later on in the match, we had Dragon Lee come out. Then we had El Grande Americano come out. And everything was going kind of off the wall. And then out of nowhere, Wilde scored a pin and the upset for the number 1 contenders against the Judgment Day. So it's the LWO that will be challenging the Judgment Day for the World Tag Team titles. And you could just tell the shock in the crowd when it happened. Like, it was an excited shock of like, they did not see this coming. I think they were all prepared for a New Day win, and then LWO just came away with that. The one thing I do have an issue with, though, is I don't think it's going to be interesting how they book LWO now as these actual like legit contenders. I think most people that have been following the LWO since its inception a couple years ago here in WWE, they haven't done much. They're just here for the high flying stunts. So I am curious to see what the creative team's gonna do to maybe hype up LWO a little bit more to make them actually feel like a threat to Judgment Day. But in the end, it just kind of feels like it's a nice change of pace. I do like that, but that's me kind of nitpicking in the near future. Fritos, what do you think of this match?
Yeah, I was shocked. I don't know if it was the right call, but to me, just, hindsight, just think about it after, you doing your little speech there. It kind of does make sense, especially since Judgment Day is still technically considered a heel faction. LWO is the only face one that we had in this. So that does make sense, leading to like booking and all that other stuff. I was kind of pushing for American made. Just, I really want that prophecy that all the WWE fans have for them to get the tag, Ivy Nile to get the women's mid-card title, and that way the OG Americano Grande can come back. Since we all know it's Ludwig, because they did mention that a couple times, like, what are you doing? We know who you are. It's just stop it. So I think I like how they're playing with that too, that we all know who it is, but they're just doing it. I just want to know what the storyline is, why he's doing it.
Yeah.
That's the main thing here, because I think they're definitely going to build up a feud with him and Gable, and because those two are going to put on a banger of a match. But I just want to know why he's taking over this character while Gable's out. I know it's just to fill in that spot for maybe merch and stuff like that, but I'm really interested to see what they do when he comes back.
Agreed. Yeah, we've been wondering what this payoff is going to be in this El Grande Americano storyline, and a new layer has been added with Kaiser taking over. So it's going to be interesting. I agree. I want to know what the payoff is going to be, so we shall see. We get to our next segment, which is Becky Lynch coming out to talk to Lyra Valkyria. But before she says that, she does a quick drop of her new movie, Happy Gilmore 2, and doing what heels normally do and berate the home fans. But either way, she calls out Lyra Valkyria, and they both kind of go back and forth. And finally, a stipulation is added to the women's IC title match, and that is a no countout, no disqualification for the title. And if Valkyria loses, she cannot challenge for the IC title ever again. So basically, they just gave away the ending. But that being said, I like the stipulation, and me and C were talking about this last week on our last Monday Night Raw Dog, is that this match needed a stipulation, because right now it's 1-1. And if you have a rivalry like this, you need something to culminate it. And it's got to be a stipulation match. We said the same thing about Solo and Jacob Fatu. This is their third time going against each other, I believe.
Yep.
So they're both 1-1. So this is that culmination. So they're doing a steel cage match. Just really good job there making it count. And people are talking about how Bailey is turning heel. I actually see it more of Lyra leaning more into that heel role, because if you notice, she, gave Becky the handshake and then delivered a manhandle slam, copying Becky's move. And although her mic skills have gotten so much better than when she first got called up, the crowd's still not buying in to it, besides her woos in her entrance.
To be fair, that crowd was kind of, I'd admit, kind of crappy tonight, though, in Houston.
That's fair. But I could definitely see them pulling a swerve on us and being like, actually, Lyra is going to be the one that turns heel, not Bayley. Fritos, what do you think of the just that promo segment in general with Becky and Lyra?
I liked it. She kind of had like a little Trump moment there, how she basically saved the title there. She's a great champion. She had the slickest win, the best win ever. I thought that was hysterical, especially since she's definitely going deep in this heel run. Last week and then this week, she had some of the Hogan colors, now doing this Trump kind of semi-impersonation. I thought it was hysterical. Happy Gilmore 2 is coming out, so she's got to promote that. But the stipulation, I love it. I mean, we all know that Becky's going to retain, which to me, this is good. That means you can let Lyra focus on something else to help promote her, hype her up a bit. She could come back for the title maybe 3 or 4 months, or maybe you could push up for a main push. But this also helps the other women in the division that do, I believe, need a push. I know Stephanie Valkyrie, she's on the rising star, but I don't think they're going to pull the trigger yet for her for that main card. I could see her be the one to take the title off of Becky, maybe Rumble or Mania, something along those lines, or EO. Who knows? It's definitely going to help the rest of the women division for sure. But one thing I was thinking about this, since we also later down the line, hate to spoil and cut in, we did have that random tag team match for the women's title. And for some reason, I don't know why, I just had a Star Wars imagery in my head that Lyra is Anakin and like Bailey's almost like Qui-Gon or Obi-Wan, and Becky is Darth Sidious, Plagueis, and they're just trying to pull her certain sides because Bailey's entrance song, what it says, role model. So I can see Bailey trying to take Lyra under her wing, pun intended, since but I can see something where I wish they did like a Karrion Kross storyline where they're both trying to pull the younger stars between being a face or a heel, essentially. Something, bring out either the good or the bad. Something like that. It just popped in my head. I thought that's what they could potentially do with this. I thought it'd be interesting to see maybe they do something like this later down the line.
That is not a bad idea at all. I like that kind of stuff, that style of thinking, and you don't see that. I think that's kind of a fresh new story that you could do. I like that. I really like that, Fritos. That's why I think it's going to be Lyra that turns heel and not Bayley. That's why, and then that kind of back and forth continues, like you said. But who knows? But I really like that. That's a fresh storyline right there. That's a good job there, Fritos. I like that.
Being a nerd pays off. Yes.
Well, speaking of the tag team match, that is what is next. It was a shock when Adam Pearce announced on X today for the Raw preview that Bayley and Lyra were going to be going up against the Judgment Day of Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez for the title. To which Lyra actually kind of went on a mini rant on X about that, basically saying, "Why am I doing this? I don't want to be with Bayley," and responding to some comments about it from fans of like, "Yeah, what is this even about?" And Lyra just saying, "I don't know." But either way, we get to the match. Obviously, Dom's out there, and we'll get to him later on. It was a pretty straightforward match. A lot of isolation, cut off by the heels. First off, I also want to say that Lyra and Roxanne, that is a headline match later on down the road because that chemistry they showed in the ring was great. Either way, it was kind of straightforward. Bayley would get the tag. She would come in for the comeback. Wasn't really... she showed that desperation that she needed a championship, so that was kind of a nice character arc. But what kind of happened after all that was when Dom tried to get involved, Raquel accidentally hit him with the big boot, and they got the medical team out, and only for the man who has been stalking Dom all night. He first was a valet parker at the beginning of Raw. Then he was a janitor wiping up the floors, stalking Dom, and even talking to the New Day. And now he comes out as a doctor of the medical staff, giving CPR to Dom, and it's none other than AJ Styles. All chaos breaks loose, and Lyra lines up for her Nightwing, only for Becky to interfere, and Rodriguez then pins Valkyria for the win and the title defense. Moving forward after that, we later get Adam Pearce and AJ talking to one of the medical doctors about Dom's injury status, to which the doctor said, I need to fill out some stuff, but I'll get an answer to you. Only for Dom to attack AJ from behind and say, oh, look at that, I'm cleared. You got your match. So finally, we get the official announcement of the Intercontinental Championship being defended at SummerSlam. It's Dirty Dom versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. Fritos, thoughts on the match and the future match that we now get at SummerSlam?
The match I knew was going to basically be a wash because they've been promoting Charlotte and Alexa for SummerSlam against Roxanne and Raquel. So I knew that Bayley and Lyra weren't going to have a single chance at all. The boot from Raquel, I don't know if it was a terrible angle from the camera guys, but it looked weak. So I don't know if that was just playing around, whatever, but AJ Styles, the master of disguise everywhere, stalking Dom. I love it. He's been the past few weeks showing his comedic side, and I love it. There's been a void in, comedic wrestlers. He's kind of picked up this void, him praying to God, saying, please clear him, please clear him. The text message that if you follow on Instagram, Dom screenshot goes, stop texting me and tag the FBI in it.
Mm-hmm.
Hysterical. Then everything tonight. So I knew this whole match was basically just going to build up for Lyra and Becky, which like I said, I'm looking forward to this match now. This might be my underhorse match with all these stipulations and see what happens with Lyra's character after the match. But with Dom and AJ, I'm looking forward to it. I truly think AJ might win the IC championship.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't have that many years left. He's been extremely vocal about it. You might as well let him, ride out another title run or two. And I think this is eventually going to lead the breakup to Judgment Day because he's going to be the odd man out with no gold. Then maybe SummerSlam, they lose the tag titles, the women's tag titles. Then it's just Finn and JD with it. And I think I saw a thing on X saying that Liv's roughly projected to come back in a couple of weeks. I'm not 100% sure how long, but if that is, she's going to be upset. And I can see maybe Roxanne, comforting Dom and maybe doing more of a storyline there that breaks Liv and Dom up and eventually the ultimate breakup that we've been wanting for Judgment Day. So I thought the match was, predictable, but everything else to build up to it, fantastic.
Mm-hmm. All right, we get to our next match, which is Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross, to which Kross came out to a huge pop from the Houston crowd. It was more storytelling by Kross, trying to get Sami to join the dark side, since we're talking about Star Wars references and everything. Kross did a great job of just really working the ribs that Sami is still nursing from the injury. Of course, Sami fights through and he gets lined up for his finishing move, only for Scarlett to interfere. The referee then starts talking to Scarlett to interfere, and then Kross gets a lead pipe and smacks Sami in the ribs, hits his finishing move, and Karrion Kross gets a huge victory in what is now he is right now really, really over with the crowd. And the reaction to not only his entrance, but his victory kind of solidified that. Fritos, your thoughts on this match?
I loved it. Right call. They're definitely trying to build this heel version of Sammy up. I don't know when they're going to bite the bullet and have Sammy go back to heel. I'm guessing maybe. No, it might be after Rumble. If it's going to be a Saudi Arabia Rumble, I can see them do that after that. It sucks that drag it out that long, but I can see it do it then.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I'm really upset, it's only because it's in the States with Netflix. I didn't get to see Karrion Kross do his entrance. His entrance is fantastic. I love it. I wish we could have seen it. That's my one little nitpick, really, with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we got to mention about that kiss at the very end. Scarlett and Karrion. Karrion had that bloody nose going on and blood everywhere, and she just went right for it. I know you guys are married, love's love, but yeah, a little gross there.
No, that's love, man.
You might have to go get tested. Ugh. But right call. Give me more Cross. That's all I want. We want Cross. I tweeted it from our X page, but we want more Cross.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we do. All right, we get to our next match, which is Stephanie Vaquer versus Io Sky, which was a put-together match. And these women delivered a great one. However, it was kind of it. So if we're looking at hindsight here, this finish, yes, this was the finish they had to go with. It made the most sense. However, if you're speaking from a fan perspective, you really wanted this to go to the finish line. But unfortunately, it didn't. When both women were down, the Chelsea Green and the Secret Hervis came on out and attacked both. Mainly started with Stephanie and then slowly worked their way over to Io. It was a 3-on-2, only for Rhea's music to hit. She comes out. She delivers some blows. She hits Riptide on Chelsea Green, and all three women are kind of at a standstill. Rhea jumps out. Stephanie is still looking at Chelsea Green, and then Naomi comes in and breaks up Io. Rhea comes back in. I think I might actually have this backwards, but either way, Naomi came in, hit Io Sky, and at the end of it, Rhea, Io, and Stephanie all stand tall, and I guarantee we are going to see a 6-woman tag match next week on Raw with Rhea, Io, and Stephanie versus Chelsea, Alba Fire, and Piper Niven before SummerSlam. But the match itself was really good. The finish just sucks because I really wanted to see this one get to the end. Again, I understand though why they did this. It was the right call, but I can still be bitter about it. Fritos, what did you think?
Same thoughts, but for me, I'm not really concerned about the match. It's a backstage segment that's really interesting to me because you had the Kabuki Warriors talk to Io Sky and said, have fun with your match with your best friend, Rhea. So I don't know if that was a stab at Io, making her the odd man out because they're all friends. They were in a faction together. Or if that's her, being supportive. So I'm curious, is there a storyline there with Io and the Kabuki Warriors? Mm-hmm. And she becomes the odd man out and we can see them go heel again? Or what they're going to do with that. That's the one thing. Everything else, that was predictable. Safe bet. I mean, you had to go safe somewhere. But I'm going to definitely keep my eye on that because there's a potential storyline right there that could be money. I mean, they already teased Asuka versus Io, so I think that might be pushing to that feud between the two. Agreed.
Yeah, that was a good point that you brought up about the Kabuki Warriors. In my eyes, it kind of felt more like a jealousy kind of thing for them because Io is in the main title scene and the Kabuki Warriors have been kind of cast out to the side, to whereas they should be a team. So that's how I took it. But I like your reasoning as well. So it's going to be interesting to see which creative decision they go with. But we get to our final segment of the night. It comes out. It's Paul Heyman, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed coming out as they normally do. And Paul Heyman says, I want to say a few things before he comes out. And before he can even say anything, Roman Reigns comes back, and his magnificent 10-minute walk to the ring is back. Because that took forever for him to get there, but that's okay. But he comes in, and basically Heyman tries to backtrack on everything, saying, like, Seth Rollins isn't here anymore. Like, you're a natural leader. You can come in and lead this group and everything. To which Roman says no. Heyman even tries to say, I still love you, my tribal chief. Roman responds with, you're not a wise man anymore. You're just a dumbass. And then Reigns even says to Braun Breaker, warning him, like, hey, in a few years, he's going to stab you in the back just like he stabbed me in the back. Then he kind of broke the fourth wall here. Talking about the creation of the Bloodline, because he said that Heyman takes credit for creating the Bloodline, not only creatively, but also in the ring as well. To which Roman says, you couldn't create the Bloodline. No, that was God's work that did that, which fire line right there. Great line. And then he even acknowledged the fans, something we haven't seen Roman do in years. And it wasn't like a pandering to them or anything. It was just the fact that he said that the crowd has always been behind him because he's the tribal chief, not because he was the big dog or anything. It was solely because the tribal chief. And speaking of big dog, Braun Breaker then steps in and even says that he's the big dog now, and that he's the future of the WWE, to which Roman calmly says, I did not hear a word you just said. I don't think your mic's working. Here, try mine. To which he flips it to Breaker, only for a Superman punch to hit. And then Roman hits on Bronson Reed. Braun Breaker comes back, and it's a 2-on-1. And right before a tsunami is about to hit, Jey Uso's music hits, which crowd goes wild. They start eating everywhere. Both men hit a spear on Breaker and Reed, and just like that, we are one step closer to a tag match at SummerSlam between Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed versus Jey Uso and Roman Reigns. And that is how the show ends. Fritos, what did you think of our final segment and the show overall?
Not gonna lie, I loved every second of this. The fact that Roman called out what every WWE fan knows, at some point, Heyman is going to betray you once you're done and don't have anything of value to him.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he's giving Braun Breaker the heads up. I like how Braun's got that ego where he's like, nah, I've got too much value. It's definitely that young guy mentality. So I love that. But Heyman did have a good point. He's like, look who I have with me. You could be back up top. You could have everything. So, but he also mentioned that there's no leader. So this is definitely in lead speculation to who's going to fill in Seth's void. I know we talked about maybe Cody. Who knows? But this is definitely going to be a great storyline to keep an eye on. For some reason, when Braun took the mic, I felt a little bit underwhelmed. I don't know if we got spoiled from that promo 2 weeks ago where everyone's like, Jesus Christ, chill out. Him going off. I felt like it was a little bit underwhelming, maybe just due to time constraints and all that. But yeah, Roman's promo, fantastic. And the setup and build up for this potential tag team match at SummerSlam, I'm looking forward to it. It's definitely, this is going to amplify Roman being that super baby face that I've kept talking about and the idea of Vince has always wanted. I know we don't want to talk about him, but this has always been the ultimate goal for him to be that new super baby face. Maybe eventually set up. I know they talked about Cody and Roman, but we still need to get Rock and Roman and just those two at some point. So maybe this leads up into it, especially if Cody turns heel. We could eventually maybe see him just because I screw it. I'm going for the head of the snake, and take out the Rock.
Mm-hmm. No, it's going to be interesting, like you said, with the leadership role. And I kind of mentioned this on our Sunday night podcast last night. With Seth's injury, this might have changed. This might have fast forwarded the Cody heel turn, because now they have nobody really there, and it only makes sense for Cody to be the next leader in that faction. But we shall see. Overall, I thought a really great Monday Night Raw. Maybe next week, maybe focus a little bit more on the SummerSlam to get everything kind of falling into place. I feel like there were some hit and misses with that. But, really solid show tonight once again from WWE. And I look forward to the go-home show of SummerSlam next week. And folks, that is going to wrap up another edition of Monday Night Raw Dog. I want to thank my good friend Fritos. I was out with him Saturday night, and that man was gone.
I came back though. I puked.
It was a rally. He rallied, man. Folks, if you want to see a man come from behind and rally, look no further than this guy right here. This guy gets it.
What can I say? I like to party.
His name is Fritos, and he likes to party. I am Coach, and I also like to party.
No, only I can say that.
But I do like to party. But I do like to party.
Hot Rod reference, ladies and gentlemen.
We know Virgil for sure doesn't party. He'll say he likes to party. I know for a fact he does not party at all.
He's got that dad life.
Yeah, he's got the dad life, which, by the way, shout out to Virgil. He is going to be a dad here very soon. We are pulling for you, man. We cannot wait to meet your new son and watch him grow into the wrestling fan that we know you are going to make him. So shout out to you, Virgil, our CEO of the We Book It podcast. So once again, this is going to wrap things up for us. For Fritos, I am Coach. We will see you next week on another edition of Monday Night Raw Dog. The go-home show of SummerSlam is right around the corner. See ya.